And a good spiritual morning to you once again. I'm Father Cosmas. Thanks for joining me today for a quick chat. And of course, our morning cup of coffee, and backed by popular demand, is my wife, but instead of Michelle. And we're going to be talking about our trip again. And this leg is about Iceland. So I've got my Iceland mug with the Viking on it, and you've got a mug.
It's a cartoon series from the north. Let's leave it at that so we don't mispronounce something in that beautiful language up there.
That's like popular, I think, in the Scandinavian
Yeah.
countries, and very popular also in Iceland. And so we wanted to talk today about going to Iceland. This might be a two-part video series. And of course, Prez is again backed by popular demand. I did the one video on Chicago, and everyone loved you being on the 1,000 sub video so much that they said, bring her back, bring her back. So here she is. We're going to talk about Iceland for the next couple of videos. And firstly, just what a culture shock. So we left Chicago. We were there for our son's graduation. We went to Iceland, and we took him with us and met up with our other son who was graduating from grad school in Iceland. So first, just initial reactions to going to Iceland, because it seemed like another world, right? What were your reactions to going there?
I think we had a lot of fun as a family referencing different movies that we thought must have been filmed there. It's a very Viking area. The lack of sunset, the lack of sunshine, the coastal living.
Yeah, because it doesn't, right now in the summer, it doesn't get dark there, really.
Yeah.
Although there's no sunshine. So it was kind of cloudy and overcast and cold and rainy and windy the whole time we were there. We stayed in Reykjavik, the capital city. A lot of what?
The darkening curtains so that you could actually get some rest.
Well, yeah, because 12 noon and 12 midnight looks like the same thing. So you can't really tell what time of day it is. And you can't see the sun because the sun wasn't out. But it's always bright. It was a very sort of surreal experience. And being in Reykjavik, a very different culture, just seeing how that sort of city there exists and how different it is from most of the cities that we have here. A whole different culture, of course, different language.
Yes.
Right, very sort of ancient, kind of Scandinavian, Viking sounding language.
No way to understand.
Right, you're not even close to understanding anything that they're going to say. And very nice people, wonderful people, really nice people. Very clean city, very safe city.
Yeah.
But a different culture, different way of eating. They have this cool thing where they have these, what do they call the restaurants where they had all the different choices of where you can eat. So it's a very common thing. It's almost like a food court in a mall, but in one restaurant. So you go to one place and you go in there, but there's like 6, 7 different restaurants inside the restaurant. So you can like pick different kinds of food.
Yeah, if you don't want to eat the same thing with the rest of your family, you're good to go. Yeah,
you all go get what you want, but you can sit down at the same table and eat, 5 different things. Of course, they have their fermented shark and their brennivin, which I think is the liquor that they make there. Very interesting, different cultural things. Beautiful city in different ways and different parts.
Yeah, I don't think we've really spent any time, you and I, in fishing areas like the Northeast or the Northwest. We obviously were in Boston for many years, but I'm talking about northern Maine or Seattle, where everything is based around the ocean. Everything is based it's very, very much hugging the coast, and then there's nothing.
Right, there wasn't a lot there. A lot of construction going on, a lot of building going on, a lot of tourists, a lot of people there. It was interesting. At one point I kind of said, because there's different aspects of the city. On the one hand, and this is probably what you see if you see pictures or video of Reykjavik, you see kind of the little houses of all different colors on the coast. And we were able to see the harbor. It's a beautiful harbor. There was this kind of sculpture of like the bones of a Viking ship in metal, and it was on the edge of the harbor where we were able to go there and see that. So you did see like there are areas where there were cute houses with the cladding that was like different colors, and I was like, okay, this is what I was picturing. But then there were like the newer areas where they were building like their condos and their high rises, and I hate to use the word bleak, but it seemed a little bleak. Everything was gray, everything was black, everything was. So at one point it was like there was no color in the world anymore because the sky was gray, the horizon was gray, the water is like bluish gray, and then all the buildings are black and gray.
It kind of like we were on the moon or something like that. It was very otherworldly.
It was, and like I said, it got to you emotionally a little bit. I felt like I was in, post World War II, kind of
Eastern Europe,
I don't want to say, the word that I want to say where I felt I was, but yeah, exactly. It felt
Yeah.
like something like that. I felt like I was in Schindler's List, like I
Oh
was in
no.
black and white in something very bleak for part of it. That might sound bad. It was a beautiful place, beautiful people,
Yes.
but at some point there was no color in the city, in the city. But a whole different way of life, a whole different way of thinking, and that maybe as a take home for us, something to think about in the spiritual life, is most of the world does not live the way we live. Most of the people in the world don't think or live the way you live. So this idea that if we can somehow get out of our frame of reference, expand our frame of reference, expand our perspective and say, you know what, most people don't think like me, or a lot of people don't think or live like me. So if I can start to put myself in their place and think like them, now I can learn how to empathize. If I can learn how to put myself in their place, I can learn how to empathize in general, which is a valuable lesson in the spiritual life, because from empathy comes compassion. If I can learn how to think like someone else and put myself in their place, now I can sort of say, well, I understand why they are the way that they are, and their shortcomings and their difficulties and their failures, now I have compassion for, because I realize where it's coming from. And from compassion then comes love. And so we want to have the love of Christ. We want to be loving. But the difficulty is we oftentimes can't put ourselves in other people's places. So there's this kind of cycle, I think. You have to empathize, then be compassionate, then be loving. And going someplace like Iceland, where it's a different planet, felt like, I think helps with that. So for next time, I think we'll talk a little bit about our excursions leaving the city, what it was like traveling in the country. Because if you go there, that's why you go there. You don't go there to spend time in Reykjavik. You go there to see all of the natural wonders. And there was so much. I think that's got to be its own video. And we'll pick up on that next time, where we talk about, the amazing idea of seeing nature and seeing Christ in nature. And of course, then getting closer and closer to Christ and doing that each and every day. Amen.